So it was my 30th birthday. I was in a cab with my husband, who's back there. Hey, Jason. And my agent called to tell me that Houghton Mifflin Harcourt had made a preemptive offer on my debut novel. First, I screamed. Then I burst into tears. See, I had been working on this book for 7 years. That's 7 years of passion and perseverance and a lot of humility. And finally, it had paid off. And it had paid off really well. I had the support of a very reputable and supportive house. I had a marketing and publicity team that really went out of their way to support my book. I had an agent and an editor who were not only brilliant, but who kicked my butt until that manuscript was perfect. The book, by the way, is called The Year of the Gadfly. There it is. It is a mystery set at a prep school, and it features a precocious teenage journalist whose only friend in the world is the ghost of famous reporter Edward R. Murrow, which you know if you've seen Good Night and Good Luck. And this book has got everything. I mean, I'm biased, but okay. It's got secret societies, it's got mean girls, it's got sex, it's got unrequited love, and it's a total page turner. But don't take my word for it. Take Glamour's. They called it part Dead Poets Society, part Heathers, entirely addictive. Oh, the Oprah magazine called it engrossing. The Washington Post, a darkly comic romp. The Daily Beast, enchanting and utterly original. And the New York Times really didn't like it. But who cares? I was featured in the New York Times. That's amazing. That's like the holy grail of book publicity. And I tell you guys all of this, not to brag, but simply to point out the fact that before you saw my name on this panel, most of you probably hadn't heard about the Year of the Gadfly. And the reason for that is that blockbuster press really in no way equates to blockbuster sales in this current publishing climate. And just to put this in a little bit of perspective for you, in 2002, there were roughly 25,000 novels published. In 2011, 60,000. And my book was just one of them. And so I realized that the old model in which the author really just relies on the publisher to get that book out there and get it selling, get it moving, that old model doesn't really work anymore. That in fact, the author has to support her publisher as much as the publisher is supporting her. And to that end, I realized that it wasn't just enough for me to be an artist or a creator, I also had to be an entrepreneur. And so to that end, I will bring you my foray into book publicity, or what I am terming how I stopped worrying about my extremely useless English degree and learned to love public relations. Okay, so first, this is what does not work. That is me in the Union Square Barnes & Noble on the day that my book came out. We went to, take a picture of me standing next to it on the shelf, and there was a woman there who was just kind of browsing. And so really, without even thinking, I just grabbed my book and kind of shoved it in her face. And that didn't work. It was extremely awkward, and really, in terms of promotion, not very efficient. So I realized I needed something that had a broader reach. So for that reason, I turned to the book trailer. Now, every author does a book trailer these days. Usually it's the author reading from the book or talking about the book. The problem with this format is that it doesn't really inspire people to share the video unless they're already close friends with the author. And I really wanted to give people an incentive to pass that video around. And so I did what I thought was the obvious thing. Make a trailer that's full of celebrities. Except I don't know any celebrities. But I did happen to know a number of pretty renowned journalists. And it actually worked pretty well because my novel features a teenage journalist who talks to the ghost of Edward R. Murrow. So I'll give you just a little clip of that trailer.
The vast landscape that opened before us now wasn't any more comforting. The mountainous peaks resembled teeth. The roads stretched between them like a black tongue. And here we were in our small vehicle, speeding toward that awful mouth.
The mountain had no name, which troubled me. Even the word nigh sounded like a negation, an absence, a place conflicted about its own existence.
was Christiane Amanpour and Sam Donaldson reading from the first page of my novel. Now, unfortunately, even with Sam Donaldson's truly epic hair, the video did not go viral per se. However, it got a ton of pickup in the blogosphere, and most importantly, it got me into the gossip column of the Washington Post called The Reliable Source, which is really great publicity for an author. Okay, so that was the book tour. Number two is, that was the video. Number two is the book tour. So my publisher sent me on a tour in May, and here's what I learned. People will come to a bookstore to see you if A, they already know you, or B, you're already famous. I was really surprised by how many of my own friends said that they had never been to a bookstore reading before they came to hear me read from the year of the Gadfly. And so as I was planning my fall book tour, which I'm currently on right now, I decided I am never again speaking to an empty room. And in order to ensure that, I did two things. First, I targeted interest groups. So in the next 2 months, I'm going to sororities, prep schools, college journalism staffs, book fairs, Jewish book clubs, basically groups of people who will already have a natural affinity toward the subject matter of my novel. But also, and this is key, I'm only going to people who are already assembled in front of me. Like, you guys are already here, so that I don't have to, worry about standing up in front of an empty room. So I'm actually not going to a single bookstore on my entire tour, which is lasting about 2 months. Next is Twitter. Now, we all think of Twitter as a numbers game. Unlike my husband, Jason Hay, who is totally obsessed with upping his Twitter follower count. He's at Hay Pfeiffer, and you should follow him, because, see, I'm doing the wifely whatever. Okay, so, so I don't care at all about how many followers I have. I only use Twitter to build personal relationships. So what I do is, of course, I'm engaging in conversations with other writers and other book bloggers, but I'm also searching for people who have tweeted about my novel. And then once I find people who have seemed to like the book, I get in touch with them, and I get to know them. And we transition from Twitter onto email, and we just kind of build a relationship, and that way I can start tapping into their local literary communities. And it's pretty amazing, because this month and next, I'm going to many cities, but 2 of them I have never been to, Minneapolis and Nashville. And I am only going to those cities because of women I met on Twitter who love my book and volunteered to help me set up a bunch of tours in both of those cities. Okay, and then finally, the fourth thing that I want to tell you guys about, which is my favorite, is the Novel Aid Stand. Okay, so this is the ultimate DIY in book marketing. It is a lemonade stand for books, complete with homemade chocolate chip cookies and colorful signs that I went out and bought magic marker. It's so much fun buying magic markers. And I set up on the street in Brooklyn Heights and Cobble Hill, where I live, with signs, free cookies when you buy my new novel. And in that period of time, in the 4 afternoons that I've done this, I have sold upwards of 70 books myself. And I will tell you, I once went all the way to New Hampshire and I sold 4 books. So the question is, why does this work? And I have 3 reasons why I think this works. Number 1, I have taken a routine experience buying a book and I've made it feel fresh and fun. I've infused the kind of, I guess, whimsicality into it. I was actually talking to Saatchi's own Claudine Cheever the other day, and she said to me, "You've tapped into this cultural trope of the lemonade stand. Who wouldn't buy lemonade from a kid on the street? Who wouldn't be interested in coming up and talking to a nice young novelist?" The second reason is because I've got balls. I mean, it takes balls to go out on the street with signs and cookies and sell your book. I mean, I could be embarrassed or feeling kind of ashamed about it, but actually I'm really excited. Every time I go out there, I can't wait to be out there. I worked on this novel for 7 years. This was a serious part of my life, and I'm willing to do anything, even put myself out on the street to get people to know about it, and consumers really respond to that. And then the final thing, and this is really, I think, the most important, is that this Novel Aid Stand, it shows the consumer that I need them. and it makes them, because they see that I need them, it makes them feel special. See, if you're not in the publishing world and you walk into a bookstore, you probably assume that the book on the shelf, that if it's there, that the author has made it and the book is doing awesomely. And the fact of the matter is that's not always the case. So when people see me out on the street, they frequently ask me if I've been self-published. And when I tell them that no, I have Houghton Mifflin Harcourt behind me, they're extremely surprised. And so they realize, oh my gosh, she's got this huge house behind her, and yet this is what she's doing to try to get attention for her book. And people really respond to that. They respond to feeling needed. They respond to feeling special. So the Novel Aid Stand, in addition to actually selling a bunch of books, has gotten me local press. It's gotten me onto a ton of blogs. It got me an article in Southwest Airlines in-flight magazine. It got me invited to this. And while we're being meta about the whole thing, I really wanted to set up a Novel Aid Stand here. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to do that. So I've got two options for you. One, you can go onto your e-reader and download a copy of The Year of the Gadfly, or you can find me after this upstairs. Every purchase comes with homemade cookies and my eternal gratitude. Thank you very much.